All right, get this out of the way. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast. You know a name, not going to say it. Name of this song is it's Intro by the XX. Good little jam. Well, it's been a while, a couple weeks. I've had some family obligations, but I'm back. You know, there was a time when I would lose my mind if I missed an episode. But after 200 plus episodes, you can kind of take a break every once in a while. I think that's deserved. I don't know. Welcome to episode 207. A little bit of an accomplishment there. Let me see something. You know, I always got to check these things. When you do this by yourself, you just got to check. Make sure everything is A-okay. You know, I always got to check these. That's me. Yep. Just got to check. Check, check, check. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast. You know a name, not going to say it. Streaming live right now of everything. Patty Yossi, first one in to the live stream. She says, I was just in the middle of part 2 of my Vets Connection podcast. It's all one word, VETS Connection podcast. Find it on YouTube and all podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple, yada, yada, yada. I had interviewed, 7 of my friends that I was stationed with 40 years ago at Clark Air Base in the Republic of the Philippines, and very interesting stories, some tragic stories. Yeah. But in the end, it's all good. We've been getting together for 30 years, reunions for 30 years. So I thought it was about time I got them recorded. So it was a 2-parter. And yeah, so there you go. Well, what do we got this week? Let's get right into it. Enough about me. Let's talk about me. Let me bring this up. You know what? Over here. Let me do something over here so I can. All right. Do I want to put the chat? No. Yeah, I always debate on this. I'll show the chat. All right. Then, you know, when I do this, I have to check the overlay. So it used to be so simple. All settings. Let's go with background. All right, that's better. People can see it if I give it a little opacity. Opacity? Is it opaque? Opacity? All right, that's good. Let's go back to the chat. Let's see what's going on here. All right. Yeah. Let's get to our first story here. What do we got? So you know what I do. You're going to get the reaction video. See, but that overlay is in the way. I don't like that. I don't like that. Let me see how this looks. All right. This one, you can still see what's going on. All right. Well, you know what? Let's go. It's not going to make a difference. Enter full screen. It's not going to matter. All right. I'm just going to get into it. All right. Here we go. 7 classic rock anthems bands thought were filler. This ought to be interesting. As you know how this goes, I see the headline and I don't indulge the article until I bring it up here live. So what you hear is what I hear for the first time, what I read. All right, classic rock history has a funny way of rewriting itself. Once a song becomes untouchable, blasted through stadium speakers for decades, streamed hundreds of millions of times, folded permanently into pop culture, it starts to feel inevitable. Like everyone involved instantly recognized greatness the second it came together in the studio. That almost never happens. Some of the biggest songs in rock history began as afterthoughts, rehearsal jams, runtime fillers, or tracks bands barely argued for at all. Labels missed them, artists underestimated them. In some cases, musicians were so close to the material they genuinely couldn't hear what would eventually connect with millions of people. And honestly, maybe that's part of why these songs lasted. None of them sound reverse engineered for mass appeal. They feel loose, accidental, human. The imperfections stayed intact because nobody was treating them like sacred masterpieces while they were being made. Most of the bands were focused on entirely different songs they assumed would carry the album. That disconnect between perception and legacy is what makes these stories so fascinating decades later. I agree. Because once a song becomes woven into culture itself, it's almost impossible to imagine the people who created it hearing anything ordinary. But they absolutely did. And we'll start with probably the big one. All right, maybe the top three, one of the top three biggest songs of the 80s, Guns N' Roses, Sweet Child of Mine. The opening riff to Sweet Child of Mine now feels almost mythological. One of those guitar parts so recognizable, it practically exists outside the song itself. But according to Slash, the riff originally started as a joke while warming up during rehearsal. Isn't that how it always happens? So let's get a note here. Slash despised the opening riff for years. He wasn't trying to write a hit. He was doing a string skipping technical exercise to warm up his fingers, basically a musical joke. He was reportedly annoyed when Axl Rose started writing lyrics to it, calling it a circus melody. I can hear that. I can see that, yeah. The band slowly built around it without immediately treating it like a future classic. That casual beginning makes the song's eventual legacy even stranger. Sweet Child of Mine became Guns N' Roses' only #1 single on the Billboard Hot 100 and remains one of the defining rock songs of the 80s. Like I said, I'd say it's in the top three, maybe biggest songs of the 80s, right? It launched literally a mega group, all from a riff nobody initially took that serious. All right, here we go. Right to the comments. Jesus. Big Head Todd, Red Sprocket. He says, I'm here, entertain me. You know, he sent me a text. I hate the word texted. I don't think it's a word. Texted. I think it's a made-up word. People say he texted me. I don't know. I don't say it. I don't like saying it. It slips every once in a while because my illiteracy slips out every once in a while. Not if you think I'm taking a shot at you, well, so be it. Why can't you just say he sent me a text? He texted it to me. He sent me a text. Okay, let me see. He texted it to me. He sent me a text. It's only a one-word difference. It's not even a word. It's A. The word, the letter A. So people get it right. Just like it's not February, it's February. Look at the spelling. You've heard me go over this with Jack 100 times. You people need to get your shit together. Okay? Now he's got me all off track. And he says, glad you're back. But now that I dogged him for being a pain in my ass, I'm sure something's coming up. Jim Harris, King of the Villages. Checking in. What's up, buddy? All right, here we go. Don't Stop Believin', Journey. Would you think that was a filler song? Is that the biggest song of the 80s? I believe it was the most downloaded song for the longest time. I think it was the first one to I don't know, like fucking 100 million or a billion or whatever it is. Today, Don't Stop Believing feels like feels less like a song and more like permanent infrastructure. Can you not? Okay. Before I go any further with this, when you hear this song, can you not at this point in time think of The Sopranos? Did that ending of The Sopranos leave a different footprint on your brain with this song? Think about that. I think so. I think there is a flash of The Sopranos that pops up in that song. I just believe so. There are certain songs that are tagged into movies that you just hear them and you think of the movie. Let me see if I can do something here. Hold on one second. Let's go. I'm going to do something here. And tell me if this song, another Journey song, I'm going to use my phone. I'm just going to put it up to the mic, has not imprinted, had a footprint on your brain when you hear this song.
Hey, what do you got here, rocks?
Are you kidding? When I was your age, I would lug 50 pounds of ice up 5, 6 flights of stairs.
So what?
So what?
So let's dance.
Let's dance.
I was alone. I never knew what could left me.
Now, what the devil?
Then we touched.
Right?
And we sang.
Does that song not bring Caddyshack to mind when you hear that? Anybody from the 80s? Anybody? Anybody? Anyone? Anyone? Bueller? Right? So there's certain songs that are attached to movies, and I think Don't Stop Believing is permanently attached to the ending of The Sopranos. I could be wrong. Not to me. I never liked that song. The Music Relish Show. I think that's. Wait a minute. I think that's Light Fingers Perry Dedovich, the AI. He's in now. He comes in now under @Music Relish Show. Go listen to the Music Relish Show. I love plugging my friends. Go listen to him. It's a lot more deep dive than me. That's for sure. Perry does a good job putting that show together. And they all hang together. They've been doing it for a while like I have. Much respect. Mark, Lou, and Perry. Perry, Lou, and Mark. Perry, Mark, and Lou. I have to do it different orders because each week, that's the thing about Music Relish. They have it. There's 3 of them, and each week, each one hosts. Like next week, Lou will host. The following week, Mark will host. Then Perry will host. Then it cycles back again. And the funny thing is, I know the behind-the-scenes stories. And Perry's laughing right now. The behind-the-scenes stories. And sometimes they get into it right there on the show. And no matter what someone says to the other, it's like, this is my episode. It's pretty funny. But it's a good show. Go listen to them. Anyway, not to me. I never liked that song. What, did you like The Sopranos? I mean, even if you liked the song, you didn't like the song, Perry. Did you see the ending to The Sopranos? And again, it's inevitable that somewhere you're going to play something on either, the radio or Sirius, and you're going to hear that song, and, well, The Sopranos. Okay, here we go. Don't Stop Believing feels less like a song and more like a permanent infrastructure. Sports arenas, karaoke bars, streaming playlists, television finales. See? It somehow became unavoidable without ever really disappearing. What's easy to forget is that its dominance happened gradually. Upon release in 1981, imagine that, it came out in 81, the track wasn't viewed as an obvious defining centerpiece of Journey's catalog. Over time, it simply refused to go away, eventually becoming one of the best-selling digital songs of the 20th century and one of the most streamed classic rock tracks ever made. See, I know my stuff. I know things. I'm smart. I'm not stupid like everybody says. I'm smart. And I want respect. So give it to me, music relics. Give me that respect. All right. Paranoid, Black Sabbath. Okay. One of heavy metal's foundational songs reportedly came together because Black Sabbath needed another track to help complete the runtime. You know what? I think Perry Dedovich probably knows this too. They all know everything over there on that other podcast. Help complete the runtime of their 1970 album. That's what I miss about Lou. Lou always had these little, when him and Mark would do this, when they were nice enough to come on this show, Lou always had these little nuggets. He had these little nuggets that every once in a while he would drop in there, these little did you knows or things like that. So, again, props to Music Relish. Mark would contribute too. I can't go without mentioning Mark. Mark had a lot of moments. So, Paranoid was written quickly in the studio and initially treated more like a practical solution than a defining artistic statement. Note, Black Sabbath's biggest hit was written in literally 25 minutes. The band finished the rest of the album, and the producer told them, I've heard this story before, they were 3 minutes short. Tony Iommi strummed the riff while the rest of the band was at lunch. By the time they got back, the song was finished. They almost didn't include it because they thought it sounded too much like a pop song. What? What? Let me see something. Come on. Paranoid. Oh, come on. Don't do this to me. Not my library. Go over here. Fucker. See, someone sent me a text right in the middle of doing this. Fucked me all up. Paranoid. Here we go. This is a pop song? What were they thinking? A pop song? Well, you know what? Back in the 70s, in the early 70s, mid 70s, I think, you know what? There was a lot of kind of really heavy rock on the radio. And that was probably considered pop type until it started to shift into like, like boy band, not boy bands, that came later, but like soft rock, and then the bubblegum music came along. Wait, who sent me a text? Hi, if you have a minute, could use your insight. I'm doing my live stream podcast right now. Yeah, okay. The irony now feels almost absurd. What started as a fast filler track became the band's signature song and one of the blah, blah, blah. Under Pressure, Queen and David Bowie. I'm just not a big... I like the song. I never loved the song. I don't know. I think there's this thing. That people feel... Oh, okay, you know what? I saw a meme early, like, I don't know, about 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago. And it said, I now have permission to not like U2 because I found out that not everybody loved U2, and I thought everybody did. Everybody thought everyone else loved U2. That's why they loved U2. Right? Think about that. Everybody thought everybody loved U2 until they realized that not everybody loves U2. So now I don't really have to love U2. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, and I think it goes for Queen. I think people just think Queen. Oh, Queen. Oh, Queen. Oh, Freddie Mercury. Oh, Queen. Like everything they touch turned to platinum. I don't know about you, but I did realize at a certain point that go listen to a Queen album. A Queen album, when it gets released or when it got released, had one, maybe two, at the most 3, and that's rare, hits on those albums. They were not like front to back, song to song, all great songs. There's a lot of songs you'll never hear on the radio. We've never heard on the radio. Queen was good to put out a big hit, and then the album would sell off of that. And maybe they threw out an album like, I don't know, Night at the Opera or, whoever, whatever. Day at the Races. By the way, their names were after the movies made by the Marx Brothers. But they didn't have a lot of hits on their songs. Big Head Todd says, people think just because it's Bowie, it's mandatory you have to love everything he does. I change the channel whenever Bowie is played. Now, okay, that's your choice. I will never argue with you on that because you can't really argue with somebody over their taste, who they like, who they don't like. I'm not going to try to sell at this point in time, David Bowie to Big Head Todd. I'm not going to try to prove, but David Bowie had a lot of fucking great songs on all of his albums. Like, he would have really good songs on those albums. Queen was just like, to me, other than the hits, they're not memorable. They're not memorable songs. And I dare anybody to name, give me 10 big hits by Queen. Right? Okay, and then you'll give me 10 of those, say, but how many albums did they put out? I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but this Under Pressure thing, I was a Bowie fan when I was fucking 10. So, yeah. So I always loved David Bowie. Under Pressure was definitely not a calculated masterpiece. It was a beautiful, wine-soaked accident born from a 24-hour marathon session in Switzerland. David Bowie and Queen were just jamming and experimenting to see what would stick. The session was famously chaotic, fueled by ego and alcohol, with Bowie reportedly taking over the mixing desk. He was good at that, though, and clashing with the band over the song's direction because it was born from pure improvisation rather than a mapped-out plan. It was initially viewed as a loose throwaway experiment that might not even see the light of day. Here you go. On a note, the song's iconic bass line was almost lost forever. After a long night of jamming and a heavy lunch break, bassist John Deacon completely forgot the riff he had created. That was a liquid lunch, I think. Thankfully, drummer Roger Taylor remembered the notes and played them back to him, saving one of the most recognizable hooks in rock history from being literal filler memory. Now, as musicians, now that's a different category. Queen is top notch. They are in the elite. But that's it. Like I said, Freddie Mercury, widely considered one of the top 3 greatest frontmen ever. It depends on who you talk to, right? Big Head Todd, he gave me 10 Queen songs. Let me see. Bohemian Rhapsody. I think you get the rest. So again, Queen. Nothing Else Matters, Metallica. James Hetfield originally viewed Nothing Else Matters as too personal for Metallica, reportedly unsure whether the song even belonged on a Metallica album at all. That hesitation makes the song's crossover success even more fascinating in hindsight. What once felt emotionally vulnerable became one of the band's biggest global hits, helping expand heavy metal into spaces metal rarely occupied before. The very thing that made Hetfield uncomfortable ultimately made the song universal. It's a good song. I'm more of a Metallica fan than I am a Queen fan, I'll tell you that. More Than a Feeling, Boston. Okay. Let me see. How the hell did this... What happened here? So you give me More Than a Feeling, Boston, and then they continue to talk about hesitation only songs. Yeah, they put it in there, but they continued this this thing about Hetfield, Original. I'm not going to read that whole thing. But More Than a Feeling, Boston, I guess you just make it up yourself. Dream On, Aerosmith. Dream On eventually became one of classic rock's definitive power ballads. It's top 5, right? Would you say top 5 greatest power ballads? I think that's fair. But its rise wasn't immediate. The song initially struggled commercially before gradually building momentum through re-release and radio support. Note, this is the only song on their debut album where Steven Tyler used his real voice. He sang higher on the rest of the album because he was insecure about how he sounded. Now that album is, and it's considered called featuring Dream On, because it would just say Aerosmith and it had a picture of them in the clouds, which, by the way, 6 degrees of separation. One of my father was a photographer for over 50 years in the Boston area and, around Massachusetts. And a good friend of his who was called English Bob took that picture of Aerosmith for the cover of that album. He set that picture up, and in the end, they didn't pay him. He didn't get paid. So there you go. The slower trajectory changed the entire perception of the track. Over time, Dream On transferred from modest early single into the emotional centerpiece of Aerosmith's catalog. Some songs explode instantly, others take over culture. Let me see. And that's that for that. How long has this thing going? We're only a half hour in. I got to talk to you people for another half hour. What the fuck? Okay. You people. I love you people. All right, let's get this off the screen. My computer's been slow lately. I don't know what's going on. I don't like it. Okay, let's see. Let me pull up the next thing here. What do we got here? You know what? Let's go with the 79 here. Let's go with this one. This is interesting. Let's get rid of this. See if I can do this again. Every time I take time off, I forget how to do this shit. I got a lot on my mind, people. I got a lot on my mind. Here we go. See, some weeks I got it, some weeks I don't. All right, the 1976 song Jeff Lynne from ELO, if you don't know, could never fully enjoy, quote, it's probably not as good. The art behind any great ELO song was for Jeff Lynne to have every single instrument sounding perfect. He was a child of the studio, and the work was never completely done in his mind until he had a record that he felt could stand alongside the best pop records that he heard when he was a kid. But even if there were moments where he knocked it out of the park, there were more than a few songs where he felt like he didn't get it as perfect as he should have when working on the record. That's why he is a genius. But even though every rock song and every rock and roll band truly shows their stuff on the live stage, that wasn't exactly the case for Lynne. There was no way for him to capture the same sense of grandeur when he didn't have a full orchestra to work with on stage. And even if he had the time and the resources to make the biggest rock and roll songs that he could, it would have been impossible to create the same experience of hearing Mr. Blue Sky unless he exclusively played in massive theaters. Then again, the orchestral pieces were only one part of his sound. Despite being one of the central figures in the Baroque music, Lynne knew that he could create a good pop song when he could, and even though Can't Get It Out of My Head was his first chance at hitting the big time, the strings were often taking a back seat to the strumming guitars and the harmonies that he layered over the top of everything. And by the time he worked on a New World record, he felt like he could finally make the kind of pop music that he had always dreamt of. The Beatles' influence was almost too on the nose in some spots, but even if the orchestral touches were in the song, Telephone Line would still be considered one of the best ballads of the 70s. I agree. That's a great fucking song. But for a tune that was all about heavy guitars, Lynne felt that Do Ya left a lot to be desired. Interesting. Do you want my love? Woman! See, I can sing. Compared to everything else on the record, though, this was one of the best rock and roll productions that he ever made. He had already done his homework by making the song with the move back in the move back in the day. But when left on to his own devices, the guitars practically sound like walls of sound hitting your eardrums. Only this time, they have even more force than what Phil Spector had in mind in the 1960s. I think he had more advanced equipment, right? Maybe. Everything sounded perfect, but Lynn felt that he was still preferred the original versions of the tune that the Move made, saying, I always liked the song, and I always thought I wish I could, redo it. And just so somebody could hear it, because no one ever heard it, really, imitating someone. No, I never heard of that one. And I was always really pleased with the tune, and so I recorded it. In hindsight, it's probably not as good as the first one, the first version that he did. Technically, it's better, but there's something missing. I think like spontaneity of the original version. Interesting. You hear these great songs, and you're like, there's nothing wrong with that song. Nothing wrong with that song. But these guys, these geniuses, these musical geniuses, these genius producers and engineers, and they hear shit. They just hear shit differently, which is kind of odd. That is an absolute gift from God to be able to be that consistent like Jeff Lynne was, because he was a prolific producer, still is. So, all right, Do Ya? He thinks Do Ya could have been better. I don't know. Let me see. Do ya? Do ya? Do ya? Do you think? Let me see. Do ya? There we go. Classic intro, right? That's a classic intro. As soon as you hear those first two notes, let's go back. As soon as you hear those first notes, you know exactly what this song is. That is the sign of a great song. That's it. That's all you need to hear, right? That's all you need to hear. That is a sign of a great fucking song. All right, let me see. You know what? Let's go to this. What do I got? What do I got over here? Let me bring this up. Okay, you know what? I'm going to do something interesting. I said in the past that I'm going to stop bringing a little movies into this, and because I think it's a good break. So let's go with this. Let's see what you think about this one. Audience members. Let me get rid of this. Delete. Add the scene. Do it all. See, when people have producers, they can do this. This is what they do. It should already be on the screen. And there it is. The best movies from every year of the 80s. Let's see. Let's see if you agree. Let's see how many you've seen. Let's get rid of some of these fucking ads. Oh, you fucking got me. You ever hit the X? It's like, hey, X out this ad, and it brings you to the fucking ad. Fuckers. Motherfuckers. Okay. 1980s is one of the most important decades for cinematic genres like action and horror, and it consistently stands out as one of the most beloved and acclaimed decades in recent cinematic memory. Boasting an eclectic lineup of masterpieces over the years, the 1980s still, to this day, stand out as one of the most jam-packed eras for classic films. Though many years from the 1980s had numerous masterpieces, each year in the decade arguably has one definitive entry that stands out as the cinematic outing. Whether they are horror classics, quiet dramas, crime thrillers, or sci-fi adventures, many of the films in the 1980s are unique, exciting, and now utterly iconic. Let's see what they have for the best movies of each year. This isn't the Academy Awards. This is according to this writer. And his name is Maxwell Pishney, and he looks like he was probably born in like 2000. So good for him to go back and do a little research. Let's see if he actually watched these movies. I don't know, right? Because writers today, they're not journalists. I don't call them journalists. These are people that write things, or they do a lot of Googling, and now they do a lot of AI searches. I can come up with this fucking list and write an article. What's this dude write? He wrote 2 paragraphs as the intro to this. So I'm not really getting. We'll see. We'll see. All right, let's see. We got The Shining. That would probably. Also, what is this? This is from, I don't know, 1980s. Bringing never before seen levels of terror. Blah blah. Okay, here we go. That was 1980s best movie, The Shining. That's what they're saying. That's what it looks like. 1981 best movie is Thief. Have you seen Thief? James Caan, almost that is probably one of his top 3 best movies. Thief is definitely a movie you want to rewatch. It's definitely a go back and watch movie. Fucking James Caan was a very unique actor. He just had his own way of doing things, had his own look, his own attitude. He was definitely one of those standalone guys with Clint Eastwood, Al Pacino. Like, James Caan was his standalone guy. He was Sonny Corleone, right? He also did Rollerball, right? Great movie. Jonathan. Director Michael Mann is one of the most important and acclaimed filmmakers in the modern world of Hollywood filmmaking, and his debut feature film, Thief, might just be his masterpiece. You got to go watch this again. Tightly paced, incredibly moody and atmospheric, and containing one of the most groundbreaking and awe-inspiring musical scores ever made. Thief is an underrated masterpiece. Starring James Caan as an expert jewel thief, the film depicts the world in which this criminal is trapped in a system that consistently fights against his ability to succeed or excel outside of crime. Stylish, emotional, and consistently providing viewers with some of the most jaw-dropping, beautiful cinematography of the decade. Thief is the ultimate feature debut, and it was a strong sign of what Mann would do later in his career. Michael Mann movies are just, they're always 98% of the time, they're banging movies. 1982 best movie, Blade Runner. So check this shit out. I just got tickets the other day. There's a theater, like a playhouse type theater, not a theater, that is going to play the movie Blade Runner. But here's the twist. They have a live orchestra playing the soundtrack as the movie goes. How fucking cool is that going to be? Big screen, orchestra, playing the soundtrack as the movie goes along. Not like one of these, we're just going to play the songs from the movie, because that's not one of those movies. And Blade Runner is a movie you can watch all the time. That is one of those movies, at least personally, I never get sick of. I like the director's cut where there's no narration. I don't know if you ever saw that version. It's a whole different feel to the original cut with Harrison Ford narrating throughout the movie. But the director's cut, he's not narrating. It's just the movie. Not many movies can pull that off and both versions be really good. Even though you know what's going to happen, both versions of the movie are great. But I'm taking Dr. Vera. See, she doesn't always take me places. I take her places too. I can do that, I'm a kept man, yes. She's my sugar mama, yes. She just shakes her head when I say that at restaurants. They go to hand me the check. I'm like, no. That's my sugar mama. She just shakes her head every time. It works every time because the waiter goes, "Woo, good for you." Anyway, so that's gonna be crazy to see that. That's a unique experience. That's a unique movie watching experience. Ridley Scott's directed 2 of the most important and impactful science fiction films of all time within the span of 3 years. 79's Alien and 1982. I never put those 2 together. Like, he did those in 3 years. Alien and Blade Runner. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, what the fuck? The Ladder, one of the most important cyberpunk art creations of all time. I've seen things. That Rutger Hauer monologue with Harrison Ford and that the character is about to die. Rutger Hauer was a very underrated character actor. Rutger Hauer was really good actor. Like, he could play these bizarre roles and pull them off. I first saw him in a movie probably from like 82, 83, The Hitcher. I don't know if you ever seen that one. That's a fucking crazy movie with Harrison Ford. It's crazy. I mean, not with Rutger Hauer. And that monologue that he says, and it's not a long one, but he starts it with, I've seen things. Yeah, it's great. You know what? Let me see something. I don't care at this point. I don't care. Get rid of that. Let me see. Let's see. Let's see if it comes up. All right, let's see if this will come through. Fast forward this.
Attack ships on
There we
fire.
go.
Seen things.
There we go. Right there. Right there.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion. I watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the Tannhauser Gate. All those moments will be lost in time. Like tears in rain. Time to die.
That's got to be one of the greatest monologues in the history of movies. That gives me goosebumps every time I hear it. Fucking great. Let me see. Though 1982 contained numerous other classics, including John Carpenter's The Thing, Steven Spielberg's E.T., and Ted Kotcheff's First Blood. I never really liked that. It's hard to deny that Blade Runner is the definitive entry of the year. Harrison Ford's performance, the world building and sci-fi production design, and the splendid music that I'm going to see live all lend themselves to Blade Runner being one of the best sci-fi films ever made and easily one of the highlights of the 80s. 1983's best movie, Local Hero. I don't know if I ever saw that. Although 1983 contained many films more popular than director Bill Forsyth's Local Hero, including Return of the Jedi, Brian De Palma's seminal Scarface, and David Cronenberg's Videodrome. That's a good movie. The underrated drama comedy starring Burt Lancaster, Pete Riegert, and Dennis Lawson is the highlight of the year. An emotional and surprisingly funny drama about an oil company employee sent to survey a small Scottish village for a potential new oil facility. Local Hero is tender, hilarious, idiosyncratic, and wonderfully unconventional. It has been unfortunately forgotten by so many general audiences, but remains one of the best films of its era. I'll give this kid credit. If he did his homework, then good. Best movie of 1984, Paris, Texas. Yeah, James Cameron's original. Let me see. Excellent franchise entries like James Cameron's Terminator, Spielberg's Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and the first Ghostbusters might have dominated the box office in the minds of most audience members in 84, but director Wim Wenders' iconic road trip drama, Paris, Texas, is easily the finest work of the year. Following the late, great Harry Dean Stanton, everything he's in was good, as Travis, a quiet man who wanders out of the desert to reconcile with his past and his family. Paris, Texas is a slow-moving, quietly touching tale of reconnection, the beauty and heartache of the American landscape, and the importance of family. It's a film about rebuilding what was lost, and it's one of the most emotional films of its decade, Let me see. 1985's best movie is Ran. R-A-N. Akira Kurosawa is perhaps one of the most recognizable names in foreign cinema. Yeah. To general American audiences, and that in large part is due to his impact on the world of American action films, westerns, and crime dramas like Seven Samurai. That's a good movie. High and Low, didn't see that. Might be his finest achievements. But 1985's Ran is late career epic. I might have to watch this. A reimagining of Shakespeare's King Lear in the world set of feudal Japan, Ran is one of the most lush, beautifully rendered historical epics. I love movies like that. The use of color, camera movement, and the blocking and framing of performers is unrivaled, and the film contains some of the boldest and most audacious battles ever put to screen. It's an utterly perfect film and proof of Kurosawa's consistent mastery of his art form. I might have to watch that. Maybe I did see it. I just don't remember it. 1986's best movie. This is a fucked up movie. Blue Velvet. If you've never seen it, holy fuck. Dennis Hopper was out of his fucking mind. And a very young Kyle MacLachlan. And I forget her name. What was her name? This French actress. It's going to say it anyways. One of the most important directors of his age, David Lynch, created some of the finest works. This is a true to form David Lynch movie, by the way. Created some of the finest works of cinematic art ever crafted. His acclaimed TV series Twin Peaks, the original Twin Peaks, not the later versions, which made no fucking sense, has entrapped, well, they say the first one didn't either, has enraptured audiences for decades. In films like Mulholland Drive, just watched that recently, Lost Highway, that's with, what's his name, from Beretta, Robert Blake. Ho, that's another fucking crazy movie. And of course, Blue Velvet have gone down as unadulterated masterpieces in the years since their release. Starring Kyle MacLachlan as a young man who gets wrapped up in a terrifying underbelly of crime and danger lurking beneath the cozy surface of a small American town, Blue Velvet is a tale of descent into darkness and supporting turns by Dennis Hopper, Laura Dern, Isabella Rossellini. That's who it is. She's beautiful too. She was beautiful back then. All utterly spectacular. It's one of the most impactful films of its era. Yes, it is. And by the way, if you go and watch the movie and you see Dennis Hopper sucking, he puts the oxygen mask. He's fucking inhaling. What do you call it? The shit that fucking blows up balloons. I forget what it's called. He's really doing it during the movie. He kind of wishes he didn't because he thought he could have gave a better performance. When you're seeing him, it's not helium. He's inhaling something. He's all fucking whacked out. Still, and that was real, what you're seeing. 87's best movie. You know, people look at RoboCop like it's just like a RoboCop. They don't take it serious. It's actually a good movie. RoboCop is actually a good movie. I don't think a lot of people take it serious, but it's got a serious undertones. It's a good movie. Though 87 had several iconic films that could easily stand as the year's best, including The Princess Bride, ultimate classic, instant classic, Princess Bride, instant classic, Predator, Full Metal Jacket, and The Untouchables. So this dude went way out on a limb to pick this movie. Paul Verhoeven's seminal sci-fi satire, RoboCop, takes the cake with stunning special effects, hilarious satire, and spectacular levels of gore and violence. RoboCop is one of the defining blockbusters of the 80s. Containing equal levels of action and subversive social commentary, RoboCop is a rare beast for its era. A seemingly mindless action flick that actually deconstructs and takes down the corporate and capitalist mindset so often surrounding films of its kind. Though its sequels would never live up to it, of course not, they very rarely do. RoboCop's legacy has surely been cemented in pop culture, and it remains a highlight of its decade. 88's best movie, Die Hard. Well, that's okay. Let's see. While RoboCop is a subversive and unique take on the action genre popularized during the 1980s, director John McTiernan's Die Hard is the ultimate epitome of that very genre, with a runtime composed almost exclusively of perfectly paced, expertly crafted scenes of tense drama, incredible character work, narrative economy, and spectacular action. Die Hard is an unabashed classic. With a career-defining lead performance by Bruce Willis, the action flick set the standard for all other films of its kind. I can tend to agree with that. In the years since its release, and countless action films have attempted to capture the magic of 1988's Die Hard, to no avail. It's the perfect mix of humor, heart, violence, and narrative momentum. And most importantly, it's absolutely a Christmas movie. Nice throw in at the end. Nice throw in. Yeah, I mean, the kid's got a point here. It did set the gold standard for action movies after that. And you know who was in it? It was Bruce Willis, and what was the guy, the bad guy? I forget his name. I think he was in Harry Potter too. They were perfect characters for this movie. They played those characters perfectly. And I think Bruce Willis, you know, you could say this about a lot of actors. And Bruce Willis, I like to say Kevin Costner was, in every movie, he was Kevin Costner. And I always use the Robin Hood as my go-to. Kevin Costner playing Robin Hood. Hey, Maid Marian, you need to come over here now. Kevin Costner in Dances with Wolves. Hey, Indian guy, you need to come over here now. It's fucking Kevin Costner. Bruce Willis could do that, but he's one of those guys that has that, or he's not acting anymore. He had a personality that could flare up and then go down. Like he like, you know, like Mariah Carey had a 6-octave voice or whatever. I think Bruce Willis had like a 3-octave acting range. You know, you go to Sixth Sense, right? Sixth Sense was a serious movie. He was still Bruce Willis in there, but he was the lowest and most easiest. Let me see. Nobody loves Kevin Costner more than Kevin Costner. Big heads on. But you know what I mean. I think I'm right with that. 1989's best movie, The Abyss. I recently watched this. Another crazy-ass science fiction movie that got overlooked or gets overlooked as time goes by. But that movie is a good movie. Like, that is one of those really creepy, keeps you on the edge of your seat sci-fi movies. It's honestly hard to believe that James Cameron's sci-fi masterpiece, The Abyss, came out in 89. The film feels so timeless, so modern, and so utterly convincing that its special effects and technical crafts that if one didn't know better, it could easily be mistaken for a film from this year. 1989 had some excellent entries, including When Harry Met Sally, Batman, okay, and Do the Right Thing, another movie you need to watch. That's a great movie. But Cameron's underwater epic is unbeatable. I agree with that. The Abyss is James Cameron's most underrated film, and it might just be his finest achievement. It's not nearly as beloved as something like Titanic, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, or Aliens, the second Alien movie, but it stands out as the ultimate example of the iconic director's style, interest, and technical ability. It's the kind of film that simply doesn't get made anymore, and it's absolutely the finest cinematic achievement of 1989. Well, there you go. All right, let's see if I don't know how this could be end up being a. All right, what film is highlighted as the best of 1980, renowned for its terrifying visual? I think, didn't we just go through this? It's The Shining. All right, which 1981 is this? All right. Oh, so they're fucking testing you to see if you read the article. Go fuck yourselves. Can't believe I fell for that shit. Now I'm probably going to get about fucking 40 spam emails from them. Fuckers. All right. You know what? Let's see. What do we got? I don't think I have anything else. I don't think I have anything else. Let me see. What do I got? 7 classic anthems. That and Jeff Lynne. I had 2 more, but I'm coming up on an hour anyways. How long into this hour? Yeah, we're just about at an hour, so I don't want to waste any more of your time. Well, it's good to be back. It's good to be back. I thought this was going to be... All right, let me see. Let me look at some of the... Let's show the chat. Let's see what we got. Now I got to do this again. Let me see. All settings. Let's do the background opacity. There we go. Now that I'm not... Let's get rid of that. Let me see. Bohemian Rhapsody. He was great in Elf. Nobody loves Kevin. Best viewers... Bloated Death, best viewers, trend, whatever. Music, Perry, Light Fingers Perry said, how did you and Jack do on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame picks on your Milk Crates and Turntables show? I picked Jeff Buckley, Phil Collins, Iron Maiden, Luther Vandross, and Excess. I won. Jack didn't. Who the fuck is Jeff Buckley was the question. Jack picked Jeff Buckley. I'm like, the fuck is Jeff Buckley? I believe we both picked Phil Collins. I'm not sure about Iron Maiden. I don't know if either one of us picked Iron Maiden. I know I picked Luther. And I think In Excess, I'm going to say, I thought, Jack wrote them down, then he never came back on the show again. But I think I thought I wanted them in, but I don't think that they were going to get in on this first try. So I ended up doing better. I think Jack actually sent me a text. Let me see. Let me see if I can pull it up. I don't know. Let me see. They get a lot of them from, let me see, Jack. All right, let's go here. Jack says, and he sent this on April 14th. I think you won our Rock and Roll Hall of Fame discussion. No Black Crows, which I knew they weren't going to get in. No Jeff Buckley. And these are his words. I will show you. Let me see. I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up because of the phone. Come over this way. This way. I don't know if it's going to pick it up. Zoom in. No. Okay. It says, no Black Crows, no Jeff Buckley. You're smart. I'm dumb. You're attractive. I'm not a good-looking man. I won. I won. Me. I won. Damn it. So yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's good to be back. I thought for sure I was gonna have some sort of technical difficulty. I always do when I take a break like that. I will be back more either Wednesdays or Thursdays this summer. Summer's here, pretty much, right? It's already feeling like summer down here. I always say May is when it starts down here. That's when it gets hot. So I don't care though. I got a fucking pool and I got air conditioning. I got an ocean. Every year it's the same thing. It's too fucking hot. Well, I don't know. I remember some summers recently up in Boston. It was fucking 40. So, or if not, I guess last summer was a scorcher up there. My friends in Boston, it's too fucking hot. It's humid. It's fucking humid up there, too. It's humid in Chicago. It's fucking humid everywhere. Except for the desert. That's a dry heat. Sacramento, Big Head Todd will tell you. He lives up there, and he was stationed with me there. And Sacramento had, it would be, literally 105, 107 in the daytime sometimes in the summer. Then at night, it will drop down to 70, which is beautiful. I mean, it was perfect. But during the day, it's literally a pizza oven. It's a fucking pizza oven. I don't know. I think I might like the humidity. I've lived in both. I don't remember saying, oh, this isn't so bad. So, there you go. Anyway, all right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. If you like it, share it. Big Head Todd says it'll be 100 on Monday in Sacramento. Yeah. Yeah, if you like it, share it. If you didn't like it, well, thanks for watching and listening for, I don't know, 1 hour and 54 seconds. I appreciate that. And yes, I will be back next week, either Wednesday or Thursday, one way or another. I just pop up live. Most likely it'll be Thursday. Patty says, thanks, Scott. Great show. Have a good night. You too, Patty. By the way, Patty, Todd says he's my number one fan. I don't know about that. Patty was around for the King of Facebook show. Like, she goes back in the day when I first started doing this whole thing. So I don't know. Patty's like the OG number one fan. I got to admit. She put up with that King of Facebook shit. I don't know. Don't go looking for those videos on YouTube either. There's a lot of them. I think I did like 150 episodes of that shit. I might start re-releasing them on Friday nights. Just replay old the King of Facebook shows from the beginning. I don't know. We'll see. All right, everybody.